My name is Abigail Mente, and I teach Earth Science and Living Environment at the High School for Leadership and Public Service. And one day I observed the students in my class do not all participate in group projects. So I asked them, how can we improve the way we do group work or group activities? And this is what they said. Change the activities, make the projects more interesting. Show us samples of the project so that we know what you're expecting, and let us pick our own groups. I realized that students need to be more involved in decisions on how they're grouped in order to have everyone involved. My problem of practice is this. How might we get students to be better engaged when doing group projects? The solution? Incorporate students' input when creating groupings and providing them with sample project outcomes and rubrics that will better inform their choices when grouping. Because I believe that if they're better informed as to what they're selecting and if they're involved in the decision-making process, they're all going to be better engaged. So I did a couple of things. I interviewed students, I surveyed students, and also made them group accordingly. And these are just some of their responses. Kaying said, I want to work with people who really want to do work. Shaizna said, I don't want to work with boys. They don't take work seriously. Franklin said, I don't want to work with Matthew. He's so annoying. Judith said, I don't want to work with anyone. And Mary said, I would like to work with Sibylle and Alexis because I feel we would each help each other without judging. I showed them a couple of rubrics. For the first project that I did with them, the rock cycle project, I told them that if they submitted their work on time, they get 10 points. And subsequently, if they follow directions, they get another 10 points. If they show detailed illustrations of the rock cycle, use specific academic language such as weathering, erosion, and deposition, presented at least 2 examples of each of the rock types, made sure that their work is neat, colorful, creative, and original, they all would get a perfect score. Another project that I did with them was a time travel project, wherein, again, if they submitted the work by the deadline, they would get 10 points. If they followed directions and provided actual facts like the timeline or period which they decided to work on, and if they've also used specific academic language and presented examples of plants and animals that had lived in the era or period that they've selected, they would get the appropriate points. And here are some pictures of my students in their selected groups. As you can see, they performed quite well. Initially, when I asked them to do the rock project, a lot of them got a A+ score, but I still had a couple of students who did not engage and or participate. On the second project, I did get a better result, although not all of them got, or not a lot of students got an A+ score. As you can see, most if not all of the students in the classroom were more engaged. And that's basically what I was vying for. Some reflections. Students said, I like how rubrics are set up. It's very well explained to us how we're going to get the points. I appreciate that we were given a choice as who we want to work with because it made me more comfortable and unjudged. And at first, I thought I'd rather work on my own, but when I tried working with my friends, we got a lot of things done. Some tips that I have for teachers. Have students work in different groups and projects. So when initially I've surveyed them, I've asked them to pick 2 students that they would like to work with and explain why they would like to work with those students. I've made sure that the second time I group them, they're still grouped according to their preference, but this time they're going to work with the second person in their list. Make sure to monitor or have students monitor their own progress through daily checklists, and also have soft and hard deadlines so that the students will be able to um, properly account for the use of their time. To push my thinking, here are my thoughts. I ask myself, how can I make sure that students are engaged all the time? Because when students are grouped according to their preference, according to their friends, I know that um, a lot of my students they get to talk about other things apart from the work, and therefore that may also take away a lot of instructional time. And then the second thing that I wanted people to think about is basically, how do I push students? How do I make sure that everyone's engaged? Okay. Thank you so much for SciEd Innovators, and also the Jumki Basu Foundation for helping me create this WIC, or window into my classroom.